I know we're coming with really heavy hearts. One of my favorite Russian mystics wrote down once that refusing to harden your heart is a radical act. And I think it's really easy to close off ourselves from grief, especially after seeing such unspeakable horrors on our news feeds every day and watching the number climb to 186,000 people. It's easy to see these things and close ourselves off to grief and focus on the fight for liberation. But grief is a huge part of that fight. Joining in someone's cause for liberation is also joining in on their grief. And we're really grateful for you joining in on that grief tonight. We'd love to begin with a poem by our very own Jack Jones. If you'd be willing to come up and share.
Sure.
Oh, sorry.
A poem. Somebody blew up Israel, October 7th, 2023. From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. Operation Al-Aqsa Flood. A tribe flew into Israel. David versus Goliath. Breaking through Israel's border fence. Warriors, weapons in hands, sparing no one. Hostage takers. The alliance of Palestinian forces, all willing to die martyrs. From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. Who the innocent? Israel Defense Forces soldier, kibbutz settler, Negev Desert Rav Music Festival attendee. From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. Resistance fighters of Israel's occupation of Palestine, breaking through the border fence, dividing Gaza from the land of Israel. Palestinians from their fig, olive trees, flying powered parachutes, driving bulldozers, pickup trucks, motorcycles, running on foot into invincible Israel, tearing open Gaza's walled-in, open-air prison. The border fence, built by Israel, a Zionist state, proclaimed by God for Jews to live on the land of Israel. No longer Palestine, but Palestinian refugees from land cultivated centuries. From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. Israel declares itself an independent state May 14, 1948. 500 Palestinian Arab villages bulldozed. The UN grants Palestinians refugee status, meaning the right of return to their homes in Israel. Israel allows every Jew the right to enter what was once Palestine. There is no right of return for 700,000, 800,000 Palestinians forced from their lands and villages in 1948 by Zionist paramilitary organizations, Israel Defense Forces. Only terrorism, retaliation will deter the Arabs. Only Jewish armed force will ensure the Jewish state. Jews versus the non-Jew world, the world that allowed the Holocaust. From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. Before the 1947-1948 Arab-Israeli Civil War, the fulfillment of the Zionist dream of ethnic cleansing, the displacement of half of Palestine's predominantly Arab population, Arab, Jew lived in one country, Palestine. From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. Since the 1967 Six-Day Arab-Israeli War, Israel has expanded its borders. Israel Defense Forces, citizens, settlers, raid into the West Bank. Palestinians' continuous experience of violence, dispossession, occupation, war, daily arrests. Israel making Jerusalem the undivided capital of Israel, establishing a biblical greater Israel, settlements in Judea, Samaria, the West Bank, occupied territories. From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. Israel's war made in the USA. 2,000-pound bombs, advanced fighter jet aircraft, tanks, artillery, ordnance used against the Palestinian. Israeli Defense Forces have indiscriminately bombed Palestinian cities, Palestinian hospitals, Palestinian libraries, Palestinian schools, Palestinian universities, reducing to rubble Palestinian sanctuaries, decimating the densely populated Gaza Strip. U.S.-made weapons facilitated the mass killings of extended families. Amnesty International, December 5th, 2023, report on U.S.-made JDAM bombs. Funding the United Nations Relief and Works Agency, UNRWA, for Palestinian refugees in the Near East. The U.S. announced it has cut off humanitarian aid to the UN agency, even as 196 relief workers have been killed by Israel in this current war to date, according to the UN. Even as Palestinian children are starving to death. 7 World Central Kitchen aid workers are killed in an Israeli airstrike, April 1st, 2024. From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. Israel's blockading of the Gaza Strip, 140 square miles of land. Israel's West Bank kibbutz population now numbering over 500,000 settlers. Israel's 1980 Jerusalem law formalizing the annexation of Jerusalem. Inside apartheid Israel, over 2 million Arabs reside, where only Jews exist with full rights. Funded by U.S. administrations since Harry S. Truman. U.S. support for Israel is rock solid. Israel would not exist without the U.S. 130 billion in U.S. military aid since 1948. U.S. Department of State, October 19, 2023. From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. On October 7, 2023, Palestinian forces attack Israel, kill an estimated 1,200, take 240 Israeli hostages. How many Palestinian prisoners exist in Israeli military prisons? How many Palestinians have died in massacres, raids, assassinations by Israel Defense Forces, Israel Mossad agents, Israeli citizens, Israeli settlers? How many Palestinians are held without trial against the Geneva Convention protocols protecting civilians, medics, aid workers, prisoners of war? From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. Since October 7th, 2023, how many Palestinian dead? Children buried alive in bedrooms. Palestinian mothers, their babies, inside hospital maternity wards. Palestinians in need of medical care. How many Palestinian Arabs dead? How many Israeli Jews dead? What is the ratio? Man, woman, child, baby. From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. Israel's war, a Zionist genocide, tens of thousands of Palestinians dead, missing, severely injured, as medical supplies denied entry into Gaza by Israel. Israel's carnage of Gaza is as horrifying as Nazi fascist conduct during World War II. If such destruction, misery, death, mass murder can be quantified era to era, Israel's final solution to the Palestinian question in the Gaza Strip, make Palestinian life unlivable, eliminate Palestinian culture, history, destroy the Gaza Strip's ability to support Palestinian Arab life. From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. the Prime Minister of Israel, after the attack of October 7, 2023, addressing Israeli Defense Forces. Remember what Amalek has done to you. Blot out that remembrance from under heaven. Commit to completely eliminating this evil from the world. The Defense Minister of Israel, after the attack of October 7th, 2023, we are fighting human animals. We are acting accordingly. We will eliminate everything. The Finance Minister of Israel, after the attack of October 7th, 2023. We are promoting settlement all over the country. What needs to be done in the Gaza Strip is to encourage immigration, making way for Israelis who could make the desert bloom. A test for humanity after the attack of October 7th, 2023. South Africa accuses Israel of violating the 1948 Genocide Convention at the International Court of Justice at The Hague. From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. Beating Israel's propaganda drum, Palestinian Arabs are not equal to Israeli Jews in life or in death. Palestinians have no right of self-determination. The 2.3 million Palestinians living in the Gaza Strip pushed them into the desert, Egypt, south through the Rafah border crossing, into the Sinai Peninsula. Make room for greater Israel. From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. Somebody blew up Israel October 7th, 2023.
Thank you so much, Jack. A really important reminder of the historicity of this genocide, that it hasn't just been the past 9 months, it's been the last 76 years. So thank you for that reminder and for that tale. All right, next we have some comments from Zaid Bakri.
Thank you. So we know that World War I and World War II mark some of the darkest chapters in the human history. And despite the formation of the United Nations Security Council after the World War II, little has changed. Wars persist, and humanity continues to endure brutality. In the past, we might have argued that innocent lives were lost by mistake. But today, innocence is deliberately targeted and destroyed, as we see in Gaza, Palestine. My friends, in Gaza we witnessed doctors, nurses, and journalists being systematically targeted and killed. Why? The answer is simple and easy. Journalists are eyewitnesses. Doctors and nurses save lives. So this is really helpful to commit killing the people and to keep it a secret. Actually, describing the ongoing tragedy in Gaza comprehensively would take a lifetime. Yet, even that wouldn't suffice. We are not talking about 100 people, 200 people. We are talking about like 37,000 people who have been killed, and 2.3 million people suffering. They lost their houses, they lost their land, they lost their dreams. They can't even dream of continuing their life and having a future there. Even if we ended that war and we stopped the killing, I don't know how long it is gonna take us to fix what they have destroyed there, and it will be a very dark chapter in the history. We will remember that forever. Dear friends, we gathered here with a purpose, which is to show the world that we refuse to remain silent. We stand against oppression. We demand an end to the massacres in Gaza. Together, we must unite against oppression. The situation in Gaza is clear. We know who is oppressed and who is the oppressor. Therefore, I say this. It is time to prepare ourselves and the future generations for an era of justice for all humanity. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Saeed. Yeah, that era of justice is a really deep hope for a lot of the people here, all the people here, hopefully. And it is amazing that what we're witnessing is not just this one singular struggle. It's a continuation of a struggle against imperialism and against greed that so many different cultures have joined in on. And so many different people have recognized the connection between their own struggle and that of Palestine. We think of Ireland, we think of South Africa, we think of Cuba. So with a little bit more to say about that and some of her own thoughts, I'd like to invite Elise.
Given this space that's been created today to mourn and grieve and reflect and be together, I wanted to share a few words and thank the organizers for providing this space. The first thing I wanted to mention, these are mostly my own sort of reflections and experiences through this, through the ongoing genocide. As an academic, I was particularly impacted by the destruction of all the universities in Palestine, the loss of so many professors' life's work and all their hopes they had for their university, not to mention many of their lives. I think about the daily toil we put into our careers and building up our departments and our research facilities and everything we hope to discover and do for the world through that work, and everything that was built up has been destroyed, and the whole world lost that. And I wanted to mention that here so that we could mourn for that aspect of loss. I also wanted to reflect on the fact that the governments of the world should not have let this happen. And all across the planet, we the people must hope and strive to create strong societies where this type of injustice would be immediately recognized and not allowed to continue. And in honor of those suffering and dying in Palestine, I today also want to pledge that for the rest of my life, I will never give up on that ambition no matter where in the world I may live. I also wanted to acknowledge and send my respect to the people who have protested in solidarity with Palestine in America. The forceful rejection by our authorities and institutions of this show of support is unfortunate and means that people must embody a tremendous amount of courage and sacrifice in order to openly express compassion for the millions of innocent people dying and the destroyed communities. I now want to uplift some of the efforts made by governments in the EU to condemn this genocide and these killings, and my hope is simply that it can bring some small solace to our aching hearts. And some of this is quoted directly from an article by the Stinson Center. And these are just some recent actions that have been taken. In April, the EU finally called for immediate ceasefire in Gaza. While no consensus on further actions within the EU framework has been reached, some European governments have been expressing frustration by showing solidarity with Palestine's struggle for independence in their own country. Spanish President Pedro Sanchez began a diplomatic tour to coordinate Spain's recognition of Palestine with other countries to maximize the impact of the decision. The diplomatic efforts were successful as the governments of Ireland and Norway joined Spain in announcing they would recognize Palestine on June 28th. I think it was May 28th. Simon Harris, the Prime Minister of Ireland, emphasized his own country's struggle for independence in his speech explaining the decision to recognize Palestine. In May, the chief prosecutor of the International Criminal Court applied for arrest warrants against Netanyahu and Israeli Defense Minister Yoav Gallant. France defended this decision, remarking that it had long been warned about the unacceptable number of civilians killed in Gaza. In regards to the hypothetical question of whether Netanyahu would be arrested on European soil, the German government announced that it would abide by the decision of the ICC. Most EU countries had explicitly opposed an attack against Rafah. In May, the International Court of Justice ordered Israel to immediately halt its military offensive in Rafah, a ruling which Israel has unforgivably violated. On June 21st, Armenia announced its recognition of the State of Palestine and support of a UN resolution on an immediate ceasefire in Gaza. In addition to those developments in the past few months, I also want to uplift countries that have been mentioned already, like South Africa and also Sweden, who have long been supportive of Palestinian independence and end of occupation. And I'll just end by saying there is more these countries could and should have done, but as is being expressed here right now at this vigil, people everywhere are in solidarity with Palestine in the face of this tragedy. And all over the world we ache for the unspeakable loss that has befallen our brothers and sisters. Thank you.
I believe we have someone with us who would love to share a small prayer. Before we do that, however, I think we're going to go around and light the candles. If one of my fellow organizers would begin that process. While that is happening, I would love to share one of the poems that you'll find in your zine. I had the great honor of sitting in on a talk with Walid Daka's wife a couple months ago, Sana Dhaka and his daughter, who was actually born while Walid Dhaka was in prison. Walid actually never met his daughter. He unfortunately passed away in prison this past year. Knowing that he likely would never meet his own child, he wrote this to her. I write to a child yet unborn. I write to an idea or a dream that intentionally or unintentionally frightens the jailer, even before becoming a reality. I write to any child. I write to my child that has not been born yet. I write to the birth of Milad, of the future. This is how we want to name our child. And this is exactly how I would like the future to recognize us. Will I stop dreaming? I'll continue to dream despite this cruel reality. I'll search for a meaning for life despite what I have already lost. They dig ancestors' cemeteries searching for a delusional authenticity while we search for a better future for our grandchildren, one certain to come. Salam Milad. Salam Habibi. I believe we have someone who's going to be offering a prayer.
Good evening, all. My name is Khulud Al-Kamaisa. I want to thank you all for supporting Gaza and Palestine. Really, this is meaning a lot for us. I am Jordanian. I live next to Palestine, and this is meaning a lot. How people, different culture, different religion, only act as a human to support these people. As there is a lot of martyrs in Gaza, we normally read piece of Quran for their souls. And I will translate what I am reading, a small prayer for them. The first one is the first surah in Quran. We call it the starter, Al-Fatiha. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Ar-Rahmanir Rahim. Maliki Yawmiddin. Iyaka na'budu wa iyaka nasta'in. Ihdina as-sirata al-mustaqim. صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. In our religion, we have in Quran these prayers. ولا تحسبن الذين قتلوا في سبيل الله أمواتا بل أحياء عند ربهم يرزقون. You must not think that those who were killed in the way of Allah are dead, but rather they are alive with their Lord and have been provided for. فرحين بما آتاهم الله من فضله ويستبشرون بالذين لم يلحقوا بهم من خلفهم ألا خوف عليهم ولا هم يحزنون. Rejoicing in the bounty that Allah has given to them and having glad tidings in those who remain behind and have not joined them, for no fear shall be on them, neither shall they sorrow. يستبشرون بنعمة من الله وفضله وأن الله لا يضيع أجر المؤمنين. Having glad tidings of a favor and bounty from Allah. Allah will not waste the way of the believers. O Allah, we ask you for your mercy by which you lift the affliction from people in Gaza and across Palestine and in all places of the earth. O Allah, save them and deliver them from the hardship that have befallen them, and show us against the plotting schemers, aggressors, oppressors, your power and might that cannot be overcome. Scatter their union, divide their assembly, and turn the table against them. Occupy them with themselves, and shield all people from their evils, and extract them. Do not allow them, their allies, and those who stand with them to achieve their goals. The soul of the martyrs are in the hollows of green birds hanging on the fruit of paradise or the tree of paradise. And the martyrs of the war are not in men's state, even if the living are built in it and they ask, we will not say goodbye, but rather we will meet in heaven. God willing, inshallah. Thank you.
Thank you, Khulud. We would now love to open the floor to anyone who has words or thoughts to share or wishes to speak their heart tonight.
So I just want to point out also that the resistance to Zionist criminality has been growing, and the heroic people of Gaza and the heroes of Hamas are actually getting stronger and have not been defeated. And there is also the concerted efforts of the Mukawama, that is the resistance to the Zionist entity, and that, you know, with Hezbollah and the support of Iran is actually strengthening. What this means is actually a positive future with the ongoing or upcoming destruction of the state of Israel. Israel will not survive, and the Palestinian people will return as is their right. And I just wanted to leave us with the positive, bright future that expects the Palestinian people and the people of the Middle East, who will expel the Zionist entity and who will expel the U.S. imperialist domination, because that's what Israel is. It's a means for the hegemonic power of the U.S. and the Western European countries to actually split up the Middle East, and it will go back to a unity, and the U.S. and the Zionist entities will be defeated.
We'll just have a few moments of silence, and as people feel the desire to speak or share, please come up and grab the mic from me.
I don't have much to add to the beautiful things that everyone said, but I would just like to thank everyone for coming out during this time. I know it's very trying on people and it's very trying on the psyche to witness the things that we have witnessed and to see the televised massacre of people and to actually bear witness to it, and it can feel very isolating, very alienating, and especially where we stand in our position amongst the U.S. empire, it can you can feel very small. And so I really appreciate everyone coming out here today and sharing their thoughts and their wisdom and speaking from the heart to heal and to create a space where people can communally come together and share in solidarity what we know to be true and what we know to be right, which is a free Palestine and a world free from the oppression of empire and colonialism and destruction, and where everyone can live together in peace. And I would just like to say thank you to all of you for coming out.
Thank you for joining us in these moments of reflection. Is there anyone else who would like to share? Like I said at the beginning, grief is a really important ritual to our humanity. And this grief and sharing in this grief and ritualizing grief both gives us contact with the humanity of those who are suffering and the humanity of those who are gone. And my hope is that that this ritual also confers upon us all responsibility to that grief, to share in their struggle, as well as their tears. If we cry for Gaza like those people are our own, we have to fight for them like they are our own. Every Tuesday, we are at Veterans Memorial Park, hoping to spread awareness to the atrocities taking place. We also have a petition begging for action from our representatives. but also any way you choose to take action, any way you choose to respond to this grief, whether that be by boycotting those who fund this genocide, or by speaking to friends and family, having these difficult conversations, or even just by cultivating your own culture of resistance and sustainability, preparing for a freer world than the one we live in. Those all pull at the thread that is currently suffocating the people of Gaza. So thank you again for being here tonight. If we'd like, the mic could stay open if anyone has further comment. But yeah, please feel welcome to quietly talk or stay and reflect. Thank you.